Hi, everybody. Welcome to English Digest. I'm Stephanie.
And I'm Tom.
Hey, today is our literature unit, so we're going to be focusing on one particular book called The Black Cauldron from the Chronicles of Prydain. Maybe some of you out there have heard of it. They turned it into a movie back in, I think, 1985. Anyway, I haven't seen it. I actually had not heard of it before, but it's a fantasy adventure, which is quite popular these days, I must say. You're going to be hearing a lot of kind of strange names you probably haven't heard before if you're not familiar with this book. That's because these names are Welsh, which means they come from Wales, which is part of the United Kingdom. But they have their own language. I used to work for a guy here, Tom, in Taipei that was Welsh. Actually, he's still Welsh. And he would speak a little bit of it to me. It's so strange. It doesn't sound like anything I'm familiar with.
I understand, though, like a lot of languages, it's kind of dying out. So if you go to Wales, I'm sure English will work for you just fine.
Oh, yeah.
But, of course, there are older people there who still speak this language. But we're talking about this fantasy novel. It's also a movie that came out in 1985.
Yeah.
It's called The Black Cauldron, and it's part of a series of fantasy novels, as you said, that came out in the 60s or something like that.
Yeah, I think there are 5 books in all. So if you really like this, and I hear that a lot of the kids love this stuff, you might look into it. It would keep you entertained for a while. So day 1, day 2, we're going to talk about the plot. And then day 3, we're going to talk about the author a bit and about some of the messages in the book. So this is our literature unit. Get ready. We're going to read through day 1. Though they've recently returned home from an exciting adventure, it's back to business as usual for Taran, assistant pig keeper, and his companions. At Caer Dallben, in the land of Prydain, Taran prepares to scrub the pig he is responsible for. Suddenly, a flood of kings and warriors arrives, with the hostile, sharp-tempered Prince Ellidyr among them. He and Taran immediately dislike each other and have a confrontation. But they are both scolded by the wizard Dallben for their pride, and told of the great quest ahead of all of them that will require cooperation. Dallben tells the assembled men, led by the gallant Gwydion, that their goal is to take and destroy the magical cauldron used by Aran, an evil warlord. With the cauldron, he can revive the dead, whom he turns into mindless soldiers for his armies. The host of heroes therefore sets off in great haste, though to Taran and Ellidyr's great chagrin, they are assigned to the group whose mission seems to promise little glory. However, circumstances disrupt Gwydion and Dallben's plans. Taran's small group is faced with the task of pursuing the cauldron on their own. Their group, led by the wise and gentle Adeon, heads through the barren autumn forests toward the home of these 3 mysterious and menacing enchantresses who are in possession of the Black Cauldron. On the way, they are attacked by Aran's hunters. Adeon is mortally wounded, but before he dies, he gifts Taran his possessions, which include a blessed brooch. This gift in particular helps Taran grow, and with its assistance, he guides his friends to the cauldron.
Okay, welcome back. I'm sure it was quite challenging to listen to that summary because we've got kind of a complicated plot and we've got lots of characters with kinds of strange names.
Yeah.
So we'll walk you through it today. Now in the title here it says, Growing Up Isn't Easy, Even in the Fantasy World of the Black Cauldron.
So what's a cauldron? We should probably explain that. A cauldron is a word we use typically when we're talking about witches and wizards. A black cauldron is a big black pot that they would pour their special potions inside and then cast their magic spells using these potions. So a black cauldron has some sort of magical magical feeling to it. And typically you only see a cauldron when you're talking about Halloween or witches, right?
Exactly. And the origin of this word, of course, is from Latin, which is based on the word for heat. Calorie and cauldron are actually related words. They both refer to heat. So again, a cauldron is a black metal pot that is used for cooking. Now, let's get into the first paragraph here. It says, though they've recently returned home from an exciting adventure, it's back to business as usual for Taran, assistant pig keeper, and his companions. So it is true that they just had an exciting adventure and they've just returned from that exciting adventure, but still it's back to business. Sometimes, of course, when you have a vacation or a holiday and you're having lots of fun and you're relaxing and stuff like that, well, when you return home, it's back to business. You've got to resume school, you've got to go back to your job, and sometimes that can be kind of, a pain to do those things, but most people probably feel refreshed after a holiday.
Hopefully you do, huh? So we're in a place called the Land of Prydain, and we're actually in a location called Caer Dallben. And here we've got our main character, Taran, who is preparing to scrub the pig. He's responsible for it. Sounds like he's a farmer. If you scrub something, you wash it very thoroughly, and you know that pigs get very dirty. So that's his job from day to day. So suddenly, while he's preparing to scrub that pig, he's suddenly confronted by a flood of kings and warriors who arrive. Now, a flood of something means a lot of whatever is coming. You might go to work one morning and see that you had a flood of email overnight. Too much email. Here, it's not talking about water. It's just talking about a big amount of something. And here, we've got kings and warriors who are coming to see Taran. So a warrior is somebody, we don't really have warriors these days so much, but back in the olden days, they were brave or experienced soldiers. They fought for their living. That was their livelihood. That was their job. They were warriors. So like Taran is a farmer or a pig keeper. He's got warriors there and, some kings. Pretty important people.
We've also got a prince whose name is Eladir. I hope I said that right. And this person is hostile, and this person is sharp-tempered. Hostile means you're angry and you want to hurt people. This word can also be pronounced hostile. You'll hear it that way in England. Americans will probably say hostile, which means you're aggressive and you mean harm to other people. And if you're sharp-tempered, that means you have a quick temper, you get angry easily. Yes, sometimes we say quick-tempered or sharp-tempered. They're a real firecracker, they're a powder keg, they've got a really hot temper.
Yeah, I just want to mention this sharp-tempered is British English only. You won't find it in an American dictionary. I looked it up. Short-tempered means the same thing as sharp-tempered. It's good to learn both. We know a lot of our listeners will go to school in the UK, but Merriam-Webster doesn't have it. Longman doesn't have it. But if you look up in only British English dictionaries, they will. So it's someone who has a very quick temper, doesn't take much to make them angry. So that's kind of who Prince Eladir is. And it doesn't take much to make him mad. He likes to fight, it says, because he's hostile as well. So he and Taran really don't like each other. And you see that they have fights and confrontations throughout the book.
Okay, very good. So we've got these characters straight so far. And again, Taran and Prince Eladir don't like each other at all. And they have a confrontation. They have some kind of conflict, a fight. But they are both scolded by the wizard Dallben for their pride and told of the great quest ahead of all of them that will require cooperation. So again, we've got the prince and we've got we've got Taran. Okay, we've got Taran and the Prince Eladir, and they're fighting. They're having a conflict. But then we've got a wizard who steps in and says, no, you guys should not be fighting. You are bad boys. I know you hate each other, but you still have to work together. So this is the wizard Dalben, and these two people are scolded by the wizard for their pride. The wizard tells them that to be proud like that is not good. And then he says, you've got to prepare for this great quest ahead, and it will require cooperation. You need to work together. You've got to put aside your differences.
Yeah, if you have a great quest or just a quest, it means you set out on a journey. You're looking for something. You're trying to find something, discover something, a quest. We often hear or use this word when we're watching old films set back centuries ago, or even reading a book that was set in the 1400s to 1600s. They would go off on quests. So they have a quest ahead. They're trying to get that black cauldron. We're going to tell you more about this plot, but first, guys, we're going to take a quick break and listen to our Chinese teacher.
Hello everyone, 我是派老师。今天讲解的是2月份 Unit 14 Growing Up Isn't Easy, Even in the Fantasy World of the Black Cauldron。这是第一天的课程内容。这个单元有3天课程，介绍的是 The Black Cauldron 这一本作品。那作者是 Lloyd Alexander。我们现在一起看看这个单元的学习重点吧。请同学看到第一段第一句。第一句这里说到 Though they've recently returned home from an exciting adventure， 请同学注意到这个句子。这个句子所说的中文意思是 Taran 是故事的主角，那他的工作是 pig keeper， 所负责的就是看顾猪只。请同学呢注意到后面的 business as usual， 其实就是他过着一如往常的日子。接下来请同学看到第3个句子 Suddenly a flood of kings and warriors arrived。 好，这边请注意到A flood 是大量的事物或一大群人同时出现。同学请注意到，那我们后面的动词呢，其实是把它用作单数型来处理。A flood of 就像洪水一样，洪水出现的时候，当然是同时间大量的水流出现嘛。所以这里请同学特别注意到这个 A flood of kings and warriors arrives。那我们用单数型。再来老师再给大家另外一个句子比方说 His column provoked a flood of complaints。 有一些专栏作家的文章会比较有争议性，所以这个专栏作家的专栏引发了很多人投诉。 His column provoked a flood of complaints， 可以这样子用。再来请同学呢特别注意到的是后面逗点之后有 with the hostile, short-tempered prince, Eladir。 好，这里呢所指的是，这里有2个形容词，一个是 hostile， 一个是 short-tempered。 short-tempered 一样是指脾气不好的。接下来请同学看到第4句 He and Taran immediately dislike each other and have a confrontation。 请同学把 have a confrontation 画起来，他们彼此呢就有了冲突。那再来请同学看到后面有一个 quest Q-U-E-S-T 这个单字，请同学要注意，一般而言当我们讲到这些奇幻小说的时候，很多奇幻小说的主题都跟 quest 有关。那到底什么是 quest 呢？其实就是 long or arduous search for something， 很长很艰辛的旅程，他们要去找寻某样东西。比方说The quest for a reliable vaccine has intensified。 像我们知道，全世界都受到武汉肺炎疫情的影响，所以大家都想要找到一个可靠、确定效力是可靠的、有帮助的。
We're going to take a quick break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Welcome back, everybody. We're going to continue to summarize our article, which is about the story of the Black Cauldron. So, again, we've got Taran. He just got back from an adventure, and then he has kind of a conflict with Prince Eladir. And then the wizard steps in and says, hey, you guys, quit fighting. You've got to work together because we've got a quest, and we need to work together. This quest will require your cooperation. Now, Dalban, the wizard, tells the assembled men, led by the gallant Gwydion, that their goal is to take and destroy the magical cauldron used by Aran, an evil warlord. Okay, so this is getting kind of complicated here, but Dalban is the wizard, and then the men are assembled there. They're all gathered there, and these men are actually led by Gwydion, who is gallant. If you're gallant, that means you're brave, you're fierce, you're a great warrior, and you're heroic. So, of course, Gwydion is the right man for the job here, and the wizard tells all these men that their goal or their quest is to take and then destroy the magical cauldron, which is used by Aran, an evil warlord. This sounds kind of similar to the Lord of the Rings. They've got to find the ring and destroy it. So it's kind of a similar plot.
There's always a quest. Now remember, Aran is a bad guy. We say he's an evil warlord. Now, a warlord is just a military commander. He's pretty aggressive. He wants to conquer the lands around him. This guy's evil, though. So remember, he's a bad guy. With the cauldron, what does he do? Well, Aran uses that cauldron to revive the dead. Now, if someone has passed away or is dead, you can't revive them, which means they come back to life. But that's what he uses his magic potion or his magic cauldron for. He brings the dead back to life. And when they come back to life, he then turns them into mindless soldiers for his armies. Now, someone who's mindless just obeys without thinking about what they're asked to do. They do whatever they're told. They don't think for themselves. I think you could compare this to the zombies that we hear about in today's literature and pop culture, zombies. So mindless soldiers, that's what he does with these dead bodies that he revives. So the host of heroes therefore sets off in great haste. Oh, we hear this in old movies and old books a lot. They left in haste, or they moved in great haste, which just means they went very, very quickly. We tend not to use haste so much in spoken English these days, but yeah, we're in a big hurry is what we would say, right? They left in a big hurry, but in great haste is very much a phrase we use in written English.
Yeah, you could say, I am in haste, I am in a hurry. But again, I am in haste is more formal, and you'll see it in works of literature. We should pay attention to this word host here. A host can be a person who is responsible for a party or something like that. This is the host of the show, for example. But in this particular case, the word host refers to a group of people. So this host of heroes, therefore, sets off in great haste. All these heroes together are beginning their journey. But Taran and Eladir's great chagrin, or to their great chagrin, they are assigned to the group whose mission seems to promise little glory. So if something is to your chagrin, that means it's not something you like, you don't like this situation. Much to my chagrin, my wife left me for another man or something like that.
Yeah, you could be maybe a little embarrassed, a little disappointed, distressed. They aren't happy because they're assigned or given a task to be in the group who has a mission that's not going to be very rewarding, you could say. If you get a lot of glory from doing something, it means a lot of people say, hey, good job, you're wonderful. But they're going off on a mission that seems to promise little glory or no glory. However, circumstances disrupt Gwydion and Dalban's plans. Something changes things for them. So if something's disrupted, it's interrupted, it's stopped for a brief period of time. Taran's small group is faced with the task or assignment of pursuing the cauldron on their own. So they have to go and try to retrieve that cauldron from the evil warlord, Iran. Sounds like a pretty scary, dangerous mission. Before I move on, if you assign somebody something, you tell them you want them to do a specific task. We get assignments in school. The teacher will give us maybe some homework or a book to read. She assigns us that homework. Your boss can assign you a particular project or assign you a task that you need to complete.
Right, so remember they're all on a great quest to find the Black Cauldron, but here it says that Gwydion and Dallben are disrupted, okay? They cannot go along with this quest. They got sidetracked somehow. Remember, Gwydion is the leader of that group of men, and Dallben is the wizard. So that means Taran, Taran's small group is faced with the task of pursuing the cauldron on their own. So we're back to Taran along with the prince, I believe. And remember, they don't like each other, but they still have to work together.
I think they argue throughout the whole book. So moving on to the final paragraph, it says their group, and we're talking about Taran and Eladir, their group is led by the wise and gentle Adaon. So he's wise and gentle. So he's going to lead them. Even though he's wise and gentle, he's also a fighter, a warrior. And he heads through the barren autumn forests toward the home of 3 mysterious and menacing enchantresses who are in possession of the Black Cauldron. So it sounds like they know where the cauldron is. They just have to get it from these menacing enchantresses. Now, if you are going through something that is described as being barren, it doesn't have a lot of greenery. It doesn't have a lot of trees and plants. It's pretty dry there, I'm sure. It's in the autumn, so perhaps the trees have just lost all their leaves. That's not when plants grow. That's when plants just take a break from growing. So it's a barren area. They go through that forest, or several forests, towards the home of the 3 mysterious and menacing enchantresses. What are they like, Tom, if we say they're mysterious and menacing?
Well, mysterious means you don't know much about them. They're like a mystery. We don't really understand them at all. If you're menacing, of course, they're kind of scary and they could do you harm. So, yes, it could cause harm or damage. And an enchantress, okay, you often see this word in fantasy novels. And an enchantress is a female magician, basically, a woman who has magical powers. But in this particular case, they are mysterious and they're menacing. So you don't want to mess with them, and they are the ones who are in possession of the Black Cauldron. So possession refers to the state of owning something, and this is part of a phrase to be in possession of something. I am in possession of the mortgage for your home, so you better be nice to me.
On the way to visit these menacing enchantresses, they sound scary, they are attacked by Iran's hunters. Remember, Iran is that evil warlord. So they're attacked by the hunters, and Adaon is mortally wounded. Now, if you're mortally wounded, it means you've been wounded so severely that you'll die. So we know by just reading this little phrase here that he will die eventually. But before he dies, he gives Taran his possessions. That's nice. And some of what he possesses includes a blessed brooch. Sounds like a magical brooch. Brooch is a piece of jewelry. Usually you pin it on your dress or your shirt. Typically, only women wear these, but maybe back then guys wear them as well. But what you need to remember is this brooch is a really good gift to get. We'll find out why later. I think there's a video game or movie called Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, I've heard of that.
Yeah, so if it's Mortal Kombat, you know that people are going to die in it. So mortally wounded, just remember that means someone is wounded, but they'll never recover. They will die.
And this, of course, is used in fantasy novels. If it's in real life, if somebody was in a traffic accident and they're going to die, then you say they were fatally injured. You don't say they're mortally wounded.
Right.
That would be used in literature. Fatally injured is what you would use in real life if someone unfortunately had that kind of situation. So again, they have this blessed brooch. I still want to say brooch there, but it's brooch.
Blessed brooch or blessed brooch. They're both correct. You guys can pick which one you want to use, blessed or blessed.
So this gift in particular helps Taran grow, and with its assistance, he guides his friends to the cauldron. So this brooch is actually beneficial to Taran. It helps him grow, and then it assists him. So with its assistance, with its help, he is able to guide his friends to the cauldron, and they can get it. And I guess that means their quest is pretty much over.
Cool. Sounds like a great gift that Taran got. Right now, though, we're out of time. We're going to listen to our Chinese teacher one more time, and then we'll be back to say goodbye.
好，接着我们来看到第二段。首先，请同学看到第一句 Dalban tells the assembled men, led by the gallant Gwydion 这个句子。好，请同学看到 Their goal is to take and destroy the magical cauldron used by Aran, an evil warlord. 好。目标是什么？请同学特别注意到 is 后面表示他们的目标。这里呢，我们是用不定词，请同学特别把这个 to 圈起来。他们的目标是要做到这件事情，就是把这个神锅找出来毁掉。再来，请同学看到第二个句子 with the cauldron, he can revive the dead.Revive the dead 这里请同学把 revive 这个动词画起来 Revive 就是让死人活过来死而复生的意思那这里我们当然知道这些人呢其实已经死了所以他们所谓的复生是变成丧尸好再来请同学看得到这里第三个句子 The host of heroes therefore sets off in great haste请同学把 set off 这个片语画起来，表示出发的意思。再来，请同学看到第四个句子。However, circumstances disrupt Gwydion and Dalban's plans. 就是我们常常讲，人是可以做计划的，可是计划是赶不上变化的。为什么呢？因为环境当中有很多的因素。所以就是 circumstances disrupt plans 原本的计划因为各式各样的条件因素没有办法按照原计划进行了所以 circumstances disrupt plans 请同学画记下来再来请同学看到第三段的第一个句子请看到关系子句在这个句子最后面有一个 Enchantress's who are in possession of the Black Cauldron In possession of 这个片语就是拥有的意思。接着，请同学看到第三个句子 Adeon is mortally wounded, but before he dies, he gives Taran. 请同学把这个 gift 画起来。请同学注意哦，这个 gift 一般而言我们都是看它以名词的形态出现，但在这里它其实是一个动词，把什么东西当作礼物赠予给别人。请同学特别的注意。以上就是我们针对这一课第一天所做的中文讲解，谢谢大家。
That brings us to the end of our lesson for today, everybody, but please join us again next time when we continue to summarize our featured story, The Black Cauldron. We look forward to seeing you then. From all of us here at English Digest, I'm Tom.
I'm Stephanie.
Goodbye.
Bye.